Do you ever get that feeling that something is off? Not in a big, dramatic way, but in a small, almost unnoticeable detail that just keeps nagging at you? For me, it started with the streetlights on my way home from work. I have a late shift, so I'm usually one of the last people out, driving through the quiet, empty streets of my suburban neighborhood. It's always been the same route, the same comforting glow of orange lamps guiding me home. But a few months ago, I noticed something. The final stretch, the long road that leads directly to my house, was dark. Not just one or two lights out, but the entire row. I figured it was just a power issue, a blown fuse or something. I didn't think much of it, just switched on my high beams and carefully made my way home. The next night, they were back on. I shrugged it off. Glitches happen. A week later, it happened again. The same stretch of road plunged into darkness. This time, a little flicker of unease went through me. It was just a coincidence, right? But the following night, the darkness had spread. It wasn't just the last street anymore. The street before it was dark, too. Now, instead of a few hundred feet of darkness, I was driving for a solid minute in near total blackness, relying only on my headlights piercing the void ahead. This is when I started paying attention. I started timing it. I'd leave work at exactly the same time, 11:45 p.m. I knew the streetlights in my town were on a timer, set to switch off at 1 a.m. They always had been. I'd seen them go out before on the rare occasion I was up that late. But my drive home was well before that. I started making notes. The first week, the lights on Elm Street went out around 12:30 a.m. The next week, it was closer to 12:20 a.m. Then, the week after, the lights on Oak Avenue, the street before Elm, started going out around 12:15 a.m. It was creeping backward. Each night, or every few nights, the wave of darkness was starting a little earlier, swallowing another block, another corner. It sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud. Streetlights turning off a few minutes earlier each night. It's the kind of thing you'd dismiss as your mind playing tricks on you. But I had my notes. I had the timestamps. It was real. And the feeling it gave me, it wasn't outright fear. Not yet. It was a cold, creeping anticipation. A dread of the encroaching dark. The drive home became a nightly ritual of anxiety. I'd turn onto my route, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my eyes fixed on the horizon of orange lights. I'd count them. I'd watch for the edge of the blackout. Where would it be tonight? Which familiar corner would be consumed by the shadow? The familiar, comforting glow of my neighborhood was being erased, piece by piece, night by night. It changed the way I saw the darkness. It wasn't just the absence of light anymore. It felt active. It felt like something was expanding, deliberately pushing the light away. When I was inside the blackout zone, the world outside my headlight beams felt vast and empty. The familiar houses and trees became indistinct, monstrous shapes lurking just beyond my vision. I felt exposed, a tiny bubble of light moving through an infinite, hungry void. It was a primal fear, the fear of open, unknown space. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a citywide energy-saving initiative they hadn't announced. Maybe the timing system was just old and malfunctioning in a very specific linear way. I had to know. So one morning, I called the city's public works department. I tried to sound casual, just a concerned citizen. I explained what I'd been seeing. How the lights on a whole section of the west side of town seemed to be shutting down earlier and earlier each week. I waited for the person on the other end to say, "Oh yes, we're aware of that. We're adjusting the grid," or "Thanks for letting us know. We'll send a crew to check the master timer." But that's not what she said. There was a long pause after I finished talking. I could hear her typing, the quiet click-clack of keys. Then she came back on the line, her voice polite but firm. "Sir, I'm looking at the logs for the entire municipal lighting grid. There have been no scheduled changes. All streetlights in that sector are programmed to shut down at 1 a.m., and our system shows no malfunctions or deviations. They're operating perfectly. My blood ran cold. That's impossible, I said, my voice a little shaky. I see it every night. The corner of Oak and Elm was dark at 12:10 a.m. last night. There was another pause. This time, her voice was a little cooler. Sir, our diagnostic is live. I can assure you, all lights in that area are currently functioning and are scheduled to remain on until 1 a.m. tonight. There are no reports, no work orders, no system flags. According to our records, what you're describing isn't happening. I hung up the phone. My heart was pounding. They didn't see it. Their systems, their logs, their diagnostics. They all said everything was normal, but I knew what I was seeing. I knew the darkness was growing. So if the city wasn't turning off the lights, what was? That night, the drive home felt different. The dread was gone, replaced by a terrifying certainty. The darkness wasn't a malfunction. It was something else. As I turned onto the main road, I saw it. The line of darkness had moved again. It had crossed the main boulevard. It was a full 3 streets closer than the night before. I was now driving in blackness for almost 5 minutes. The world outside my car was a featureless abyss. I started to feel a strange pressure, a feeling of being watched from that immense, silent emptiness. My mind started playing tricks on me. Was that a shape at the edge of my headlights? Did something just move in the shadows between the houses? I pushed the accelerator, my only instinct to get home, to get back to the light. When I finally saw the single, solitary streetlight at the end of my own cul-de-sac still shining, a wave of relief washed over me, so intense it almost made me dizzy. It was my last beacon, my last little island of light in a rising tide of black. I parked my car, ran inside, and locked the door, my back pressed against it, breathing heavily. I went to the window and looked out. The single lamp post cast a perfect circle of orange light on the pavement. It looked safe. It looked normal. But I knew it was only a matter of time. A week? 3 days? Tomorrow night? Soon my light would go out too, and the darkness that had been creeping down the streets, block by block, would finally be right outside my door. And the most terrifying part is this: I am the only one who seems to see it coming. To everyone else, the world is just as it's always been. The lights are fine. Nothing is wrong. But I know that something is out there in the ever-expanding night, and it's getting closer. I only know that I don't want to be here to find out. Thanks for listening. If you've ever experienced something you can't explain, let me know in the comments.